Giannis looking, gives it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up for the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the third!
A timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot!
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks Sixers edition. As you know, the Sixers have started the season 0-2. We're going to dig into that. I do have a very special guest, but before we get to that, I definitely want to shout out DSM Media. Make sure if you're not already subscribed to DSM Media, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified every single time that DSM Media goes live. And of course, if you aren't following me yet on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, you can find me at Scotty Drown. You can find DSM Media at DSM_media. With that being said, I don't want to waste too much time here. I do want to welcome my special guest here, Austin Krell. You guys may know Austin. He is a Sixers writer, NBA reporter for the Painted Lines, and also an NBA contributor at US Today Sports Media Group. So you see content coming out of there all the time. You, Kai Carlin, you guys keep us covered over there. And then, of course, host of the Feed to Embiid pod, which is kind of key here as we're going to do a lot of talking about Embiid, of course, and the Sixers. How are you doing today, my man? I know it's a big day for Phillies fans, Philly, the city as a whole, but how's your Friday going?
I thought I built up some resistance to Sixers fans, and I guess I just haven't. It's 2 games in, and pitchforks are already out. Everyone's already trying to think of their best Embiid trade scenario. And
oh my God, it's
too early in the season for this. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
2 games in, and they're bringing out the Embiid trades and the mock trades, and they want to blow the whole thing up, right? It's Harden's team now. We're moving on with Harden. It's a bit ridiculous for a guy that has given his all to this city for quite a while, that person being Embiid. The first thing I want to ask you today, before we get into the drama or the drama of the season starting, I should say, how are you feeling? I know you got Chick-fil-A in the bio. The Sixers just made a switch. They're not doing the Frosty Freeze out anymore. They're doing the 5 nuggets from Chick-fil-A. How are you feeling about that? Do you indulge in those free items, or is it a little too busy for your liking the day after a game and that's access granted?
My dietitian is not going to like this at all. Yeah, gosh, it's good. It's rough. And then you have Giannis missed 2 free throws last night. So, it was definitely like, I wonder if I had to show my credential and at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I show them the Twitter bio.
That's right. You see the endorsement right here? I'm giving you
let me get those nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Although I'm not a big nuggets guy. That's more, I save that respect for McDonald's nuggets.
Fair.
I will get the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. I go every Friday. So
I love it. I love to hear that because that's where I'm at too. The nuggets don't fill me up. It's as simple as that for me. The chicken sandwich does it. Maybe it's the bread, but I'm happy about it nonetheless. Frosty, chicken nuggets, whatever. I like either one there. But let's get into the actual content here, the meat of this 0-2 start for the Philadelphia 76ers. Really, I just want to ask you generically, vaguely, off the top here, what are your initial takeaways? Is it more panic? Is it more optimism? I know Harden's had a great start and Embiid's had a terrible start. Where are you at right now with the Sixers?
So I understand why people are frustrated because it's only 2 games in. And if Joel is already showing, he's annoyed, he's this or he's that, it's a long season ahead. I get all that. There's also 1,000 different scenarios that could explain why he is not feeling it thus far. One might be reported plantar fasciitis in his foot that we saw today. Another might be there are moving pieces on this roster that are new, and they don't quite know exactly how to space out the floor yet. And as a result, the looks that Joel was used to getting a season ago, 2 seasons ago, they're not the same looks yet because there's maybe one defender is sliding about a foot over more, and it makes him a little bit unsure and unclear. That can mess with you. So there's like 1,000 different reasons, but beyond just this guy is lazy, he's out of shape,
Right.
doesn't have heart, he doesn't want to, he's not this, he's not that. It's 2 games into this season, he will be fine.
Right.
And if he isn't fine, then he'll be one of the first MVPs at age 28, or one of the first reigning runner-ups for MVP at age 28 to inexplicably not be able to play basketball anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at, Austin. Like I look at this team and I see Harden. Obviously, we'll talk about him, but Harden was the biggest question mark coming into the season for me. Like, are we gonna get maybe not MVP Harden, but just a rejuvenated Harden, which we have gotten. So like Embiid, he's like you said, been an MVP candidate the last 2 seasons. I just don't have a cause for concern that he's not going to be able to get right. And I know you've pointed to all the statistics recently on Twitter as well and in your articles. Just regarding Embiid and the trends throughout his career, October's not a great month for Embiid in general throughout his career. And he tends to pick it up, closer to Christmas after that, going towards the All-Star break, I should say, is where he really starts to get into his game. So I think everybody just needs to relax. It is a ton of new pieces. Would you say, as far as what you see, Embiid obviously skipped the media attendance last night after the game. That was kind of notated. Is it just as simple as him being out of shape? He kind of, is not hitting shots. That's why I mentioned it. He kind of looks like he's mopey right now. And that can come obviously from everything that you already talked about. Do you think it is just as simple as being unconditioned right now?
I think that could be part of it. The reason I kind of give that plantar fasciitis story a little bit of like credence, and like I don't think it's just the team putting out an excuse that isn't real. I think there is something there, only because Joel said after the last preseason game that it was an on and off summer for him, and that dealing with things. So if he hadn't said that, I would blow it off and think nothing of it. But that he said that ahead of time, it kind of makes me wonder maybe that's what he was referring to. And for those who have not had plantar fasciitis, or those who are not 7'2" and 260 and don't play in the NBA, so most people, it's not a fun injury when you're 5'10". I had it in high school, and I'm not 7 foot. I'm 5'11", whatever.
Yeah,
and so it's not easy playing on that. It's very painful when it's in your heel. You lift, you put pressure on your toes to lift on your jumper. You feel it in the back of your foot. You try to run sprints. It feels like a knife in the back of your foot. It's not a fun feeling. And that isn't me saying that those are what Joel's symptoms are. Don't think that.
But what it is as a whole.
But that's in my experience, that's what it felt like. There are ways to remedy it. You can get like shoe inserts. I'm not sure that that's what Joel is doing. I don't know what they're doing for it, but the point is that it's easy to see how something like that could nag a player, especially one that is of high usage.
And so with the plantar fasciitis, I know you spoke on that. How serious is that? Just for a generic standpoint, I know you're not a doctor, but as far as like, I swear when I was younger, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, if you remember him from the Cavs, I believe, didn't he deal with some type? It might have just been as simple as a broken foot, but I believe he had major foot issues to basically end his career. So is that something that you kind of have to be super cautious about, especially with these big guys?
So he had a broken left foot. I don't know if he had the Lisfranc injury, which is
that might be what I'm thinking.
Yeah, which is like the worst injury that you can get in a foot for a big man is the Lisfranc. But I don't know because we it's only 2 games. We don't know
how serious it is
affecting him. We don't even know if it's a legitimate story. Like it could be the team putting spin on.
Yeah.
What I do know is that, last night before the game, Joel's coming out to his introductions, and I think Harden had his hood up, on his warm up, and Joel gave Harden a very sincere embrace and smile, and they hugged before the game.
Yeah,
he looked fine. I don't think there's frustration or dissatisfaction yet per se.
Yeah,
this is a guy that. They got PJ Tucker like Joel said he wanted,
right?
or maybe he didn't say it, but he telegraphed it at least.
Yeah.
And you upgrade the team. You have good pieces now. I don't think that is a thing yet. I think what it comes down to is, number one, you have all these different. You have 4 new pieces in your rotation, regardless of their direct impact on your offense or defense. You have 4 pieces in rotation. It's 4 pieces that haven't learned your team yet, and you haven't learned them exactly yet. That means the mistakes are going to happen. Last night, Brook Lopez gets 1,000 wide open threes.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? Because guys don't know the switching rules on defense yet. So that's happening. So there can be some frustration about where a guy is positioned on the court. Why isn't this guy doing this? Should I be over here? Should I be there? That can get annoying. And you can and that can show up in your body language.
Yeah.
When you combine that with the fact that, those are 2 of the best defenses you're going to see. And Boston, which we don't even talk about.
I think that's
the
forgotten part.
Yeah. The first 2 games of the schedule were 2 of the best defenses they're going to see in the whole league. And I don't think it's that surprising that they're 0-2. Like the first game was trending toward a blowout. They made it a little bit closer at the end. Last night's game was a toss-up. And so you grow, you get better, and maybe it'll be different next time. But
those teams are
go ahead.
much farther along than what the Sixers are with those new pieces, with what they're trying to implement with James Harden, kind of having the ball a little bit more. Yeah. So I definitely get your point, and I wanted to ask you just like a side note, the Bucks, because they did some very interesting things on defense where they basically eliminated the 3-point shot for the Sixers last night. And I know that's like a focal point for them. Do you think that is just a Bucks thing where the Sixers can't get 3-pointers up like that? Or is that something we need to watch out for as well? Or is that just more or less, once again, just these new pieces trying to find their spots?
So I think part of it is like new pieces. And I think part of it is guys not capitalizing on open looks. And I also think that there are things where, the Sixers are not getting the most out of their offense right now, mostly in the third quarter, because Joel is trying to take the game over and he's playing a little bit, trying to do too much. And as a result, it ends up being that they're turning the ball over. They're not getting shots out of their possessions. Yeah. Boston pulls away. Milwaukee tries to pull away. And that compounds,
Right.
But I think you have the facilitation in James Harden. You have guys that you have Tyrese Maxey who can get downhill and can get deep into the teeth of the defense and crack the interior. You will get shots up. And it's just a matter of you're going to need time to grow. And we can say that it is an excuse that they trotted out how they were all ready to, take the world by storm and this team was different,
Yeah.
Okay, but that judgment is for May and June. That isn't for late October when you're trying to play your first games together. Like we can't sit here and say that like this team is fraudulent because they were 4-0 in the preseason. They didn't play great teams in the preseason. Number one. Right. Number two, the starters don't play the second half, so you're basically playing a crapshoot. And number three, you're scrimmaging against yourself.
Right.
No one's going 100%. No one's trying to give physical body because they don't want to injure their teammates. The only way that you can really grow together is fighting through the adversity in real games and winning. And that's going to come as the season progresses. But right now, you're just seeing a new team that's together for the first time. They're making a lot of defensive mistakes, and their newness and their lack of experience next to each other is kind of manifesting, I think, in the way that Joel is playing.
I kind of see exactly what you mean whenever you describe that out, and kind of just to stay on track with implementing new pieces, kind of guys getting used to each other. We have a question here from the audience, similar to what I was going to ask you, anyways. Maybe not as much associated with Harden being at his best, but it's a good question to ask because Harden is what I would think is his best right now, at least from what we've seen so far in Philly. Do you think Maxey can be his best with Harden at his best? And what do you think as far as getting Maxey and even Tobias Harris? I know maybe that's on the back burner compared to Maxey and getting him involved. But how do you get those guys involved early? And what have you seen so far that you liked and what you don't like as far as their usage, but specifically Maxey?
Yeah. So I think right now what you're seeing is Harden comes out of the gate at a really hot start, and he's trying to will the Sixers, back into games in the second half. And so the offense is naturally flowing more towards him because he's the hot hand. And as a result, a lot of dribbling, a lot of watching him operate, a lot of Joel or whoever comes screen for me so I can get, I can get a switch here, or I can get into this space and operate from here. So, the Harden hot hand as a result is kind of pushing Maxey off to the side a lot. He's trying to just space out for his teammate. They're trying to engage Joel in the offense and keep him involved. And as a result, Maxey's kind of the third guy right now. There were some times last night in the fourth quarter I saw where James got the rebound off, and then on the outlet he was passing over to Maxey. And this was after James had reeled off 11 straight points or whatever it was, because maybe he was tired, maybe he wanted to get the ball ahead and let his speedster take advantage. But I think right now Maxey's role is going to be off of misses. Let's get that outlet pass up to Tyrese, let him push up the floor and really put pressure on the defense. And if not, he's going to get a layup. And if they do, maybe he gets fouled or what have you. But I do think that you're seeing defenses have put him on the front page of the scouting report this year.
Right.
On the second page.
Right.
He's getting to the rim, but there are hands there. There are interior defenders there to greet him. He's missed a lot of layups already that he didn't miss last year. Jason Tatum blocked him the other night. He's being pushed out to the 3-point line a little further out than he was previously. He's going to have to adapt. And I think what you're seeing, not just from Maxey, but really from the whole team in practice, when in the footage that you do see, they're starting to take shots that are much beyond the 3-point line. I don't think this is just the Sixers. I think this is other teams.
The league.
I've seen it from Grayson Allen most recently. I saw it from
Murphy.
Yeah.
Pelicans. He hit a deep one the other night. It's and in the preseason.
Right. And Anthony Edwards is another one.
Yeah.
You have to play further out because the defense is forcing you that far out. And then, once they adapt to that, they'll be fine. But, the defense is starting to respect you. How do you respond to that? So they're trying to learn that on the fly. And, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to click. And there'll be more, a more balanced responsibility between Harden and Tyrese as the games go. And and the three of them are going to get functioning more together as well. I would like to see them use the success Tyrese had as a catch and shoot guy last season more to their advantage when they're setting a screen and Tyrese is on the weak side. Flip that ball over to him and force a guy to close out hard. And if he does close out hard, Tyrese go right around them and drive. And maybe set an off-ball screen for Tyrese. Come off catching. If there's a look there, shoot it. If not, get downhill. But I think right now they're just trying to feed the hot hand of James and keep Joel engaged because right now he looks like he isn't that engaged.
Yeah, fair enough. And just regarding Tobias, from the standpoint of Tobias Harris, last night he goes into the half. I think he had 2 shots at halftime. Is this the writing on the wall for Tobias? He is the 4th option at best. And on top of that, is that kind of what we're going to expect from Tobias on a night-to-night basis? It's going to be catch and shoots. It's going to be, getting the ball in transition, finishing layups. Maybe when he has a mismatch like Grayson Allen last night, getting him the ball. I saw the more concerted effort in the third quarter to get him some touches in the post on Grayson Allen. But is that kind of what we should just expect from Tobias? Some nights 9 points, some nights 16, 17.
I think it's going to be more so he's going to just benefit from how far or how deep James and Tyrese can get. Like, it wouldn't shock me if tomorrow night he has a huge night because you're playing a young Spurs team. They're going to be, if they're going to be a little bit aggressive on the perimeter. If they get beat, they're going to crack and the rotations aren't going to be there. That might leave Tobias open in the corner for a bunch of threes.
Right.
So, it's going to be him catching and shooting. And I think to his credit, he's made a concerted effort to be more quick to decide to shoot the ball.
Right.
And when there is a mismatch, like a Grayson Allen, to get down in the post and get that. I think right now the best role for him is to be a slasher. If the shot's there on the outside, take it. If they close out a little bit heavy, pump fake, go right around them, and then keep the ball moving or finish for a layup. Last night he almost had a dunk on Giannis. I would have liked to see him go up with two hands instead of one. When you're not a great vertical athlete, you have to go up with two hands, because if you go up with one, you're going to get blocked.
Yeah.
And so, I would like to see him do that. I also think that, like, how many years have we seen it now where Tobias is loose with the ball on the way to the basket and he gets stripped?
Yeah.
I need that grip. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but you need that grip to tighten up and go up stronger and harder with the ball instead of losing the ball off your knee. It happens too often.
Yep, happened last night as well. You're spot on there. And just kind of keeping the audience keeping us on track here. The rotation, as far as what you've seen, I know the rotations have looked different each game so far. It's only been 2 games, obviously. But last night, Daniel House gets 21 minutes. George Niang, I think, got 8 minutes in comparison. Trez comes out in the second half, 3 minutes. Paul Reed in the first half. Is that do you think that that's going to be more matchup based, especially with Reed and Trez versus the rest? Or is that more just based on trust? Because I know, like, Matisse is really not in the rotation right now, aside from little 30-second spurts at the end of quarters, or at the end of halves, I should say. What are your thoughts on the rotation so far? Is there anything that you maybe would switch as far as what you're seeing, pairings, Melton and Harden, Melton and Tyrese? And then even that moment, there was a little small ball last night with PJ at the 5, which actually worked well. So I'm wondering if that's more, Joel struggling, or is that something that we can expect a little bit more regularly? What have you seen so far there?
So I'm not that surprised that Matisse is out of the rotation. Just because, I think what that tells me more than anything is that, like, maybe he wasn't great in training camp behind closed doors. Because how else do you prove that you're not optimistic about somebody's shot?
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit surprised that Niang in the rotation. I actually wrote that I wouldn't be surprised during training camp if Paul Reed got that spot, but I think they also want to get more spacing and shooting, so makes sense. I do like what they've done with the big so far. I think, I would have liked to have seen Paul Reed instead of Montrezl Harrell in the first game.
Last
but
night. In the first game.
Yeah, first game, because of the switching. But I do think that they did a good job last night of seeing, this is Giannis. We can't.
Yeah.
This guy is a freight train. Let's get Paul Reed out there. Somebody's a little bit more mobile, more lateral, moving, and not go to Trez. But I think there'll be nights where it's inconsistent, because look, you add 4 guys to your rotation, you're gonna have to find combinations that work and pieces that fit together.
Right.
And everyone for years, people have been begging for more depth. Well, the thing about depth is that you have to figure out what works and
right.
Displaced people. You only have so many spots, and you have 5 starters that are 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 5 or no, actually 2 of the 5. 2 of the 5 are below the age of 30, and 3 of one's 30, the other one's 33, the other one's 37. But the point is, you have a lot of you have stars that are going to play 34, 35 plus minutes. So you have a finite number of bench minutes, and you have 4 new pieces. Guys are going to not be in the rotation. It's going to happen sometimes.
Which new piece have you been impressed with the most so far?
No one's really surprised me yet. I actually voted D'Anthony Melton as a preseason 6th man of the year. And
okay, I was going to ask which one were you more excited coming into the season as well? So you started with D'Anthony.
I've been disappointed by him so far, and just in the preseason and in regular season so far.
Anything specifically? Is it just the shooting woes, or kind of just the whole offensive flow altogether?
The whole offensive flow. I think, like, I don't ever know what I'm going to get out of him when he drives.
Fair.
Like,
fair, especially last night. That one on Giannis was disgusting.
Yeah, like he tried to launch himself through the backboard, but then forgot how to dunk. So it was was like, what's going on here? Did the battery die on the controller when you were so Daniel House just kind of exists right now. But
Yeah.
I don't think I think when we judge Daniel House, we have to look at this guy's making $3 million. That's the biannual exception. He's an exactly average 3-point shooter, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's gonna have good nights. He's gonna have bad nights. The point is that you need him to be net neutral, and be better than Furkan Korkmaz, be better shooter than T. Steibel, which he should be.
Right.
No one surprised me right now because I feel like PJ Tucker gave me exactly what I expected out of him. D'Anthony's been a little bit disappointing, and Daniel is. I didn't have very high expectations for him to anyway. So I think right now, I guess Montrez has been really good, probably a little better than I thought he'd be, but he hasn't played much in the regular season, and it was all preseason action.
Right.
I think the only thing that's really shocked me is James Harden. Like I think he's been absolutely fabulous, like better than you could have ever even. I bet way better than I thought he'd be. Do
you think that he's back to? I know Houston's a stretch, but like, where is his ceiling this year in your eyes after what you've seen so far?
So I've been kind of like thinking about this, going back and forth in my head, because on one hand, probably isn't right that the only takeaway I have so far is that James looks really good, because there's been a lot of negative too. But at the same time, it's like he's scored 30 plus on high efficiency in 2 straight games against 2 very, very good defenses. And if that's where he's starting out, I think it's going to be a great season. And you know what? If he's giving you that, then I don't really see what the worry is right now, because once Joel clicks and figures it out, how are you going to beat that?
How are you going to stop him?
Yeah, I mean, this team could still win 60 games, and it wouldn't surprise me if James is the James that we've seen.
Yeah, fair enough. And just real quick on PJ once again. 39 minutes last night. I know it's the Bucks. It's a competitive game. It's a game you want to win, especially your home opener. And you don't want to start the season 0-2. Is that what that is, right? I don't suspect you want him playing 35 plus minutes a night at 37 years old. I just thought of him in my head as, we may not see the results or the production from PJ that we want until playoff time, when ball gets serious. Is that the plan, or is this what we should expect? Is it just getting him in shape, or what's the plan? What are your thoughts on PJ as far as his usage throughout the regular season?
So I think, number one, if people are going to complain about his box score, then you're missing the point of what he does. Like last night, there were, I counted 3 at least possessions where there was an offensive rebound or a long rebound that he got to, or that there was a rebound that was going to a Buck and he slapped it out of the way and got it to a teammate. So you're creating extra plays on your possessions.
Yeah.
There are times when he was just grappling the rebound out of the way from on the defensive glass, beating Bucks that were in the interior, beating them to getting there. So I think his style of play, especially on offense, is conducive to him playing high minutes, because in order to be the relentless defender that he is, you need to be in tremendous shape. And if he's in great shape, then he should be okay. The flip side of that is he's 37 and wear and tear happens, and he's going to be taking one of the 2 best offensive players on the team most nights, in theory. So I would say that you don't want him playing 38 minutes a game. You don't want him playing 35. I would like to see him around 30, 32 in the regular season. And I think you'll get more of that when you don't play such physical offensive and defensive teams.
Right.
And, against like a team like the Spurs, you should be able to get away with him only playing 20, 25 minutes.
Right.
Like there shouldn't be any need for anything more than that.
Right. And especially when you're talking about, there's just not that level of player as far as who you need to stop offense or defensively, I should say. Yeah. So I am definitely glad we got you on here today, Krell, because I know I wasn't panicking, but I'm listening to everybody else panic, and it makes me think that I'm crazy. So you kind of brought me back down to earth, as well as I'm sure some of the viewers that will see this. I do want to ask you one last question, non-Sixers, just NBA. I know you're an NBA guy. Is there any particular team, maybe a player that you're keeping your eye on this season outside of Philly, that just really has you intrigued? I know for me, it's the Pelicans right now, especially that game one performance against Brooklyn. Zion's back, Brandon Ingram really getting his wheels on the ground. What are your thoughts there as far as a team you're just keeping your eye on?
Right now, for me, it's actually the Detroit Pistons. Yeah,
that's another one for me.
I think they're very fascinating. Cade and Jaden Ivey, and then you have Sadiq Bey on the perimeter. What is Jalen Duren going to be? I think they're a fun. I see a lot of like this 2017-18 Sixers kind of like DNA from them. They just traded for a veteran shooter in the offseason. They have like this budding young star. They have a top lottery pick that is a rookie for them now. Like, I'm very intrigued to see what that team can be. I tweeted this out when they got Bogdanovich. I could be convinced that they're going to be a play-in team. So I like it. Doesn't sound like so exciting, but that team I think is really cool and a fascinating young team to see what they have. So I'm going with them. They're the team that I watched on opening night more so than the rest. Paolo Banchero got out to a great start.
Orlando, they're another.
So, that was a good matchup, but that's my team so far.
Who's your rookie of the year?
So who did I vote for? I think I voted for Keegan Murray.
Murray, okay, out in Sacramento.
Yeah, I don't
like him as well.
If I had to redo it, I think I did. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously hindsight's always 2020, but
right.
I mean, Paolo looked really freaking good opening night. Like you dropped 27, your first game in the NBA. My God,
looking like a grown man.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a performance. I'm excited for Orlando, Detroit. It's good for those. It's good for the NBA, for those teams that have exciting players, have exciting talent.
The one team I've already watched too much of is the Lakers. I can't watch anymore.
Yeah, that's bad basketball, man.
I can't watch another one of these losers try to shoot a three. It's so
my God! I heard Russ took like I was watching the NBA today or something earlier today, and they were talking about Russ took like 6 threes last night, missed all of them. Went like 1 for 11 or 0 for 11.
Yeah, which he joined. Total. I mean, he joined his teammates who all couldn't also make shots out of it. It's very frustrating to watch. Like you're watching LeBron, he's making plays for others, and then he kicks to
Austin Reeves
or the Lonnie Walker, and they're like bricks, and it's like 6 possessions in a row. You're like, can we help this man?
What can they do?
Can we? And I understand that LeBron probably wanted Russell Westbrook. As a GM, you have to be like, I can't do that to you. I can't.
Yeah. Like I know better. Like if you don't know better, I do.
And if Anthony Davis doesn't get his big butt in, closer to the rim and get maybe try a 15-footer instead of a 22-footer, I'm gonna scream. They're wasting the end of LeBron's career. And
they really are. They really are. Do you have the Lakers making the playoffs this year? I'm just curious.
Not even close right now.
Not even close, man. I feel the West is stacked, man. It's a little ridiculous, but oh man, sad we had to talk about the Lakers today, but here we are. But no, I appreciate you coming on, Austin. I hope to have you on maybe a few more times this season, of course. As I love what you do to cover the Sixers and the NBA. Always interesting and always elaborate. I love that because just clearing a lot of this stuff up for me, and I'm sure it helps other NBA fans, Sixers fans as well. But I do not have anything else for you today, Austin. I won't take up any more of your time. But go Fightins tonight, man. We need a W here for the city.
I need to relax and have a peaceful night's sleep with the Fightins. I need to relax. I need Kyle to just unload on a drinking ball and send it to the 4th deck.
Yes. Yeah. It's sad because we were supposed to do this on Wednesday evening, and I DM'd Austin during the game. It was during that implosion, And I was just like, man, we can't do this tonight.
Yeah, I didn't feel. I was like,
We were down.
I was like, I have a show after this, and then you Jimmy, I was like, yes.
I figured you would feel that way because I was feeling it too, man. It was not the vibe, the vibe. And the Sixers
I need Schwarber to hit. I need Schwarber to hit one of the people sitting on the roof in the head. Just like see that guy sitting up there. I need you to hit him in the face.
Give us all.
Yeah, 500-foot homer. That's what I need.
Oh my goodness, I'm praying for it, man. Let's go. I think I did throw a $5 bet on a Schwarber home run tonight, so I'm with that as well. But thank you once again, guys. If you're not already following Austin, you can find him at NBA Krell. As I said, he does cover the Sixers for the Painted Lines. Also does some work for USA Today, and is the host of the Feed to Embiid pod. Austin, once again, thank you, man. I appreciate it as always.
No problem, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Peace, man. All right, guys. So that was Austin. Got to shout him out one more time because, as always, he was awesome. Got to clear up a lot of questions for me, as you could see, and we had some commenters there with some questions, which I definitely appreciate you guys bringing those to the table today as well, getting involved with the show. That's what it's all about whenever we go live here. So thank you guys for that. Just a few notes for myself. Obviously, Austin did a lot more of the talking there. So just some of my thoughts. And obviously, this is coming after hearing from Austin, who kind of settled me down. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't, jumping off the bridge, trade Embiid. I'm not going that far, obviously. But it was just a little disheartening just to see the effort and kind of everything that transpired throughout these first two games. But I will say the report about the plantar fasciitis, if that is true, that would make a lot of sense for Embiid. And what I've seen so far, yes, I know I used the word mopey, and it's true. He has looked mopey. He's looked disinterested, and he's looked out of shape. He's looked tired. I think that comes from his pride within. He wants to play better than what he's been playing last night. He skips that media afterwards and media attendance after the game. And I think that's because he knows he just has to be better. He doesn't need to go and talk and say that. He just wants to be better. He's watching his partner in crime, James Harden, go out there, drop 30 burgers to start the season. And he is just not at his best right now to contribute in the way that he wants to. And I think that can lead to some of the energy or lack thereof that we're seeing right now. So I know Embiid's going to bounce back. Looking at the positives stand alone. It is James Harden, as Austin mentioned there. 33 points so far a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists per game, 57.9% from the field, 37.5% from the three, and only 2.5 turnovers per game through 2 games so far. Those are MVP numbers, right? Obviously, they're a little inflated. It's just 2 games. But that is the positive. Harden is back to playing at an MVP-esque level. We just need the guys to match him there. And that's where the negatives start, right? There's one positive, and then we get to the negatives. It is Embiid, right? 20.5 points per game right now, which isn't terrible, but it's bad for Embiid, right? A guy who led the league in scoring last year with over 30. 13.5 rebounds, so he's putting the effort in on the boards. Need a little bit more effort on the defensive end, getting back on the defensive end. That's a huge thing. Stan Van Gundy's drove that into the ground the last 2 games, and it's true. It is quite honestly true. 4 assists per game. I think that's good. It's just the turnovers you want to cut down. He's averaging 5 turnovers per game right now. 38.5% from the field. That's where you have to look at this and be like, that's just not how the season's going to go for Embiid. That is a really outlier type of number in my eyes. That is just not Joel Embiid, a guy that can get a bucket in the paint anytime he needs it. That number is going to go up closer to 50, maybe even over. And then the 22.2% from the three-point line. I believe that will go up, but you also got to just stop shooting as many. I think he's taking way too many threes right now. The next negative, the inability to get Maxey and Tobias involved early and throughout the game. I think that's something that obviously will figure itself out. As Joel Embiid gets better, a lot of these things will get ironed out naturally just because of the attention that he will draw when he's at his best. But until then, you do have to find ways to get Tobias, get Maxey involved on the offensive end, and keep their chemistry in line, keep them in rhythm within the game. The vibes, right? The vibes are just down. The city of Philadelphia was prospering this week, and the Sixers have kind of drove those results right to the ground. Obviously, the Phillies lost the other night as well. That didn't help. But the Sixers kind of started the losing trend here on Wednesday, and we just hope that does not carry over into the rest of the city. But Just the vibes. Get the vibes right. Bring the energy next game. Obviously, you got the Spurs. That's a game you should be able to take care of business in. Get your first W of the season handedly. And get the vibes right. Show some spirit and really feel good about what you're doing. Get the city back where it belongs. And Embiid just getting right? No, can't have your head down out there, even if you are playing bad. The bench rotations in progress. It's not necessarily the rotations for me. I don't have a problem with mixing, plugging in pieces, trying to figure it out. As Austin said, as I've said throughout the preseason, there's a lot of new pieces here that you got to get implemented into your rotation. Talk about Daniel House, new piece, 21 minutes last night. PJ Tucker, new piece, 39 minutes last night. D'Anthony Melton, new piece, 20 minutes last night in the game. Those are the three guys other than Embiid, the three guys other than Embiid, Maxey, Harden, and Tobias that got up over 30 minutes or up over 20 minutes, I should say. And so just figuring out who plays best together. Do you run some second units where you have Melton and then have Maxey running that offensive unit? Or do you keep Melton mostly mixed in with James Harden? Do you do a little bit with both? Where do you sub in Tobias? Do you keep him, kind of hedged in with Harden in the second unit or with Maxey in the second? There's so many things you have to figure out here. And then you have to get down to matchups, right? Montrezl Harrell, I was talking to a few buddies from DSM last night. Montrezl Harrell just doesn't make sense against a Milwaukee Bucks team that has Giannis when you're going to have to guard him on screen and rolls, right? He's going to do pick and pop, down screens to get him going downhill to the basket. You need a guy that's quick and a guy that, quite honestly, plays a little physical. And even, Paul Reed last night, he only got 5 minutes, came in, blocked Giannis' shot, got called for a foul, but nonetheless, physicality didn't give Giannis exactly what he wants, whereas Giannis may just blow by Montrezl Harrell. Let's be honest. Montrezl Harrell struggles on the defensive end, slow feet. Giannis may blow by him for a couple and one. So I get the matchup-based approach there. And then Daniel House, George Niang, out of those minutes, fix in. Paul Reed coming in for George Niang and company. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It'll be interesting to see if Matisse, does he get any burn this season? Do the minutes start to pick up? Maybe they start seeing more from him in practice. Maybe the shot gets a little bit better. But I thought Austin had a key point there as well. They obviously saw something from Matisse because they started training camp praising Matisse through the highest of praises, right? Doc Rivers said it. There's a couple different media members that were talking about Matisse. And now he's getting 30 seconds a game of playing time. He's not even registering a full minute when you go and check the stats of who played. And it's a little confusing, but as I mentioned to you guys before the season starts, I was kind of over Matisse in a sense. I was over Korkmaz. I'm over these guys that we have just been running our heads up against a wall, trying to be optimistic about. Korkmaz, Matisse, Shake Milton. These are all guys that we've been through the ringer with, and they cannot get it done. We know that. Matisse, I'm a little bit higher on than those other two, right? Matisse, I believe somewhere could have, 5 to 10 minutes a night at least, just for his defensive, his defensive strengths. But here we are. They got to figure it out. Doc's got to figure it out. I think he's caught a little too much heat to start the season. He's got a completely new unit. Even without the new pieces, you have a completely different James Harden, a guy that can go out and drop 30. James Harden can go out and drop 30 tonight. He can go out and drop 30, have 9 assists, 8 rebounds. So you have to game plan around that. You have to get him involved in the offense. They're trying to get him beat up on the high post, running more pick and rolls. So there's so many different facets to this offense that you have to figure out. Like I said, getting Tobias involved, getting Maxey involved early. We got to cut Doc a little bit of a break when you're going against the top two teams in the Eastern Conference from last season. And I know there was talk about Middleton missing last night. The Bucks took the Celtics to 7-game series in the Eastern divisional finals, I believe it was the second to last finals before the Eastern Conference finals. But nonetheless, the Bucks are still good. It's still Giannis. It's still a philosophy, a scheme. Mike Budenholzer, a very good coach team, and one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. So we got to chill out a little bit. As far as what we have up next, that's all I got for you guys today. Definitely keep your eyes open. We will, as always, we'll have the Sixers pregame show. I will most likely be hosting that tomorrow. I don't know if I have a co-host yet, but I'll definitely chat with the DSM guys. We'll be here for Sixers pregame right before that Sixers game, that Sixers matchup with the San Antonio Spurs gets underway. And we'll be back with Scotty Talks NBA on Monday. We'll recap the weekend of basketball, see what's going on around the league. And, of course, we'll be back with NFL Turf Talk on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, our regularly scheduled show. Eagles on a bye week. Yeah. The undefeated Eagles, man. We don't get that pleasure this weekend. But nonetheless, they'll be back the following weekend against Pittsburgh. They get to host the Pittsburgh Steelers after the bye week, coming off a 6-0 bye. And you got to love the vibes there. Let's hope the Sixers can really get it turned around here over the weekend. Get the first win, get that off your shoulders. You're no longer 0 for. That's the first step. Then we go from there. We got some a few tough challenges coming up. You got the Toronto Raptors twice over the next 5 games, I believe. So there's some matchups there where you can still prove yourself, prove that you're better than what you've shown so far. And I'm definitely looking forward to those. Before we get out of here, guys, I definitely want to shout out our sponsors over at Gents Barber Lounge. As you know, we are sponsored by Gents Barber Lounge. And you can find Gents Barber Lounge in Old City and Fishtown. Make sure to book an appointment as soon as you can. Kids or adults, it does not matter. Gents Barbershop is one of the best barbers in the Philadelphia area. And as you know, we have a short clip just to show you some of Gents' work here. All right. Shout out to our sponsors over at Gents Barber Lounge. DSM Media is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. As I said, check out one of the 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Along with Gents Barber Lounge, we are sponsored by Luxodin.com. Check out Luxodin.com. Check out all of the finest jewelry. And when you get to checkout, use code DSM for 25% off at checkout. Got a new necklace, got a new bracelet from Luxodin, and it is beautiful. It gets here nice and quick, free shipping, and 25% off with the code DSM at checkout. And then I also just want to shout out some of the DSM merch. We're getting some new merch out on our merch website. The link is in the description here of the show. As you can see, we got some Phillies shirts. We ain't losing. That's Bryce Harper in a little bit of a cartoon bobblehead style. Check that out. They're only $14 up until Sunday this weekend. So get in there if you like that. Want to celebrate the Phillies postseason. Hopefully we get 2 dubs over the next 2 days. But get one of these shirts. You get free shipping and $14. Can't beat that, right? And you help DSM. Help support DSM. Help DSM Media grow here. And then we got some new Eagles shirts as well. That's game. F you. You guys remember when Nick Sirianni said that at the end of the Dallas Cowboys Philadelphia Eagles game last Sunday night, right after we had the after the whistle play where, you know, the Cowboys player tackles Jason Kelce after the whistle, gets an unsportsmanlike penalty. Nick Sirianni's fired up on the sidelines. You can read his mouth. It says, "That's game. F you." So we got the shirt. We got the cuss word blanked out. We got to be a little PG, right? Got to keep it a little censored there. But nonetheless, check out our merch site. That one is also $14 up until Sunday. Then it does go back to regular price just because it is a new graphic on the site. It'll go up to $22 after Sunday. But guys, definitely check out the merch site. As I mentioned, it is in the description down below. Check that out. Help support DSM. Help us grow. Along with that, make sure you're following DSM Media on all social media platforms, on Twitter at DSM_media, on Instagram at DSM.DoSomethingMajor, and on TikTok at just DSM Media. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Turn the notifications on. Ring that bell. Every time every time DSM goes live, you will be notified when you ring that bell on the YouTube app there. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, head over to YouTube. That's where we want to get all of our audience. We want to get you guys involved. That's the best way to get the comments up on the screen. That and Facebook, so make sure to follow us there as well. But guys, I want you guys to have a fabulous Friday. It was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun talking with Austin, a lot of fun talking to Sixers despite the 0-2 start. I'm ready for some Phillies baseball. Ring the goddamn bell. Red October. Let's go Fightins. We need this dub today. This is a huge one. First one at home. We get another tomorrow. Let's get this thing back on track, and let's get to the World Series, Philly. We got to get the vibes back right after this Sixers meltdown the last couple days. But that is going to be it for me. As you know, you can find me at Scotty Drown on all social media platforms. For myself, for DSM Media, peace. Go Phils.
Artest looking.